Mr. President, there are two ladies that I'm scared of, and they're intimidating me.
Is Carol one of them?
They won't let me leave the Union building. So I'll start with Lizega, who hasn't had a chance. And then, Carol, you'll have the last one. But please keep it so ever briefly, so that we can release the president. So, Lizega?
Yes, I need to be.
Yes.
I need to go to Praveen Gordon's home.
Hello, Mr. President. Lizega Tandwa from Times Live. Mr. President, I know we've labored on this point around the Justice Minister and VBS.
Oh, yes.
Given what has happened, what is your perceived rather, do you not perceive that there is a conflict of interest which has risen due to this loan issue? And do you not think that it imposes on you to take swift action to conclude this matter? My second question is whether the door is still open for other parties to join the GNU, for instance, the EFF and MK party. And Mr. President, my last question is around SOEs. There's been a debate in the past around your office holding so much power and you taking so much power to your office. And now we have this bill that is going to Parliament around a holding company, which will be, according to the bill, will be also vested with you. We know that your party has a penchant for releasing or recalling presidents very early. And given that, Mr. President, you have a limited window and you have a limited time, legitimate or not, there is someone who's going to come after you. Do you not have any fears that this leaves us, it would leave us to a point where we could have a reversal to state capture when someone comes after you, succeeds you? And also there's been talk about parliamentary portfolio committee in terms of holding the presidency to account. What is your perspective on that?
Sure.
Yeah. It's exhausting. So many questions. Do you want to raise yours?
Okay. Yeah, Carol,
okay.
You can go. Yeah.
All right. It's a quick question and a quick answer. Stay and I were just discussing before we came in here, how long has the president got before the business confidence fritters away? I mean, we had Ramaphosa, there was a huge spike in business confidence, and yet you played the long game and it didn't, and the Ramaphosa dissipated. How long do you think you've got now before you have to start showing results?
Okay.
6 months, 12 months, 5 years?
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. On the issue of the Minister of Justice, I'm attending to this matter. I've now received the report and everything else, which I'm examining. So that issue is being addressed. And I've asked for time, space, so that I can apply my mind to all this. I asked the Minister to give me a report, which she has now done. And so that matter is being addressed. The issue of other parties wanting to join the GNU, when the negotiations ensued, we did say open to discussions with other parties. And in fact, the ANC was the one that really led the process in inviting parties. And all parties were spoken to without any exception. And those that in the end did not find their way clear to participate, it was really by dint of not really fully subscribing and accepting all the key elements of the statement of intent or wanting to work with others. So those that did come in also a bit late in the end, as we constructed the GNU, particularly the executive, we had run out of time and space, so they are part of us. In the legislatures, we work well together, so that is to be welcomed. Now, in the end, any party that may want to be part of this, they have to come forward. They have to say, we also now want to be part of the government of national unity, and we will listen to them, and we will see the extent to which they are able indeed to subscribe to what we have decided should bind us together, which is the principles that are set out in the statement of intent and everything else that goes with that. The issue of a parliamentary committee for the presidency, I did say in Parliament that that's a matter that we're going to give attention to. It's been expressed over a number of years, and we are going to be examining precisely how that would work. So that matter is under review. The issue of state-owned enterprises, it's not so much agglomerating all power in the presidency. What we've sought to do, and in many ways in implementing the decisions of my party, that SOEs that have policy accountability to ministries should revert back to their ministries, which is exactly what we have done. For instance, we had Transnet in the Department of Public Enterprises, but we have a Ministry of Transport which sets policy. We have said that it will revert back. And that is already standing us in good stead in that issues of policy, issues of regulation, and issues of looking closely at operations are now vested in a department. And of course, they have to deal with avoiding conflicts of interest, because there can be conflicts of interest in doing so. What we are seeking to do is to have a coordinating structure through the holding company that we want to set up. It's a coordinating structure that will give us all line of sight of precisely what is happening in all the entities, and also to have a measure of uniformity where that applies. For instance, in board appointments, how do you get boards to be appointed? And in dealing with, say, things like board remuneration, in dealing with things like governance, dealing like things like financial reporting. So all these things at the moment are very different in relation to a variety of institutions. And having just come back from China, they have a structure that coordinates their state-owned enterprises, and it works extremely well. And it enhances accountability, and it also enhances transparency through that oversight body. There is no sense that, say, the president of China has agglomerated all power unto himself. It is more of a functional entity that enables government to work effectively. So that is what we are seeking to achieve, and to also have disciplines, financial disciplines, and there should be no entity that will go on for 5 years without providing financial reports. So that is then brought to light at the holding company level, because you're directly accountable for what you do. But in the end, yes, the ministry sets policy, and the policy has to speak to the overall overarching policy of the nation, of the country, as we move forward. Carol asked, how much time do we have? Now, you know, the so-called Ramaphosa was based on the hope and that we are now in a new era. Yes, we're dealing with a variety of things. Right now, the era that we are in now is based on a number of realities. And some of those realities have to do with what we are doing in a very direct way in government. It is based on, say, we're going to have reforms. And this is what we can pivot our hope and confidence on. And this is why I say involving the private sector, involving labor, involving government in the areas that we are working on forms a very big and important pillar of infusing confidence and hope. It's not based on just hope without substance. Now we can have confidence and substance that is based on things that are being done with good effect. And what are those things? The hope that we are going to position our economy in a much better way is based on what we are doing on electricity reform. Because electricity or energy drives the economy of any country. So we are reforming that. So it's something that's real. It's a real pillar. We're seeing improvement. Now, anyone who would want to invest would, the first question they would ask is that, is there energy sufficiently in that country for me to drive my factory operations? So what we are now doing in reforming our energy sector is a pillar, a strong pillar on which people can invest hope and confidence. And what we are doing, for instance, in logistics, is another important pillar that is going to lead to strengthening our economy. As we say, we want to improve our harbors, our harbor operations, and we're going to bring in the private sector to have concessions and be able to run certain aspects of our harbors. Is a pillar that infuses confidence. So it's not empty confidence, it's real confidence that people can pivot this broad confidence on. And for that reason, I believe that this confidence will keep growing as we implement our reforms. Because they are not reforms that are just happening in hidden corners. They are reforms that are being done with the participation of all. I meet business every 6 weeks. Not business, I meet the working groups rather, every 6 weeks. And they report to me the progress that they are making. And they all scurry around and say, we need to do work in this work stream and that work stream working together jointly, because we are going to report to the president. And when we get to the president, we must give a good report. So when they come, of course, together with others, I then examine the progress that has been made. And everybody is encouraged to have made a great deal of progress. In examining that, I said, no, but guys, you are not hitting the mark here. We are not going to get this economy moving without moving the tonnage that we are putting through our rail system. Without moving it to a higher level, we are not going to. So go back and make sure that we improve the tonnage. Now, what does that do? It gives people, a task. It gives them something to do. It's not just empty. It's focused. And you were saying, hands-on. This is part of it. I'm working with people who know what the expectations are, and they must work on that. And on this, one is quite firm and hopeful that we are going to turn things around. In the past 5 years, we dealt with the vestiges of state capture, and we were putting in place systems and mechanisms, and I believe we're moving out of that. We're beginning to put things right and correct what was done wrong, but it's going to be a process of implementing those reforms and making sure that things do happen. For instance, on water, we set up a team and they came, reported, and I said, how long does it take to get a water license? It used to take 3 months and more. and much more. No, not 3 months even, years. I remember because, you know, yeah, I know, I put that's another story. But it used to take years just to have a water license. And I sent them back and I said, no, we cannot accept this. Go and find out why it is taking so long. We need to correct this. And they went back and they worked through, and that was almost like bashing heads together and saying, go and work. So it was private sector people, people in the department, and so on and so on. Finally, they came up with a solution. They said, Mr. President, we can do it in 57 days. And I said, wow, that is great, but I'd still like to see quicker action. Because sometimes things sit on desks for the longest time, and you don't even know why. You know, people just take too long to get things. One of the things we want to do is to now move on to digitizing our government system so that we have a way of having a broad look at everything that's happened from a digital point of view and be able to ensure that we get things done quickly. So, Carol, is it 6 months? Is it more? I think with action that we are taking now, people will see that things are beginning to happen. And the consultative approach that I'm accused of, and I've been accused and condemned forever and a day, is paying dividends, because it is when you get people to work together that you are able to make progress. And that's why we're making progress. Even on things that seem intractable, like Bella, like NHR, we will make progress because we're going to get people to meet and to work together and to find solutions. That is my story. And I'd like to thank you for being here.